soda dream. Don't you run away from me. Perfect blending of my needs, combined to electrify. No, don't try, just let your groove run over me. Oh, in my soda dream. So take hold of this globe and go and shake out all your greed. Move it down from your spine, take it, start up those dancing feet. Soda dream, why won't you wait for me? As lonely as it might seem, oh, my soda knows the best of me. S-O-D-A, soda dream, stay close to me. I wanna spend time with you. Maybe you should follow, fizz away through space. Run around town, just taking my time. No stopping my bus, don't you slow me down. Cause you've been reaching too long, girl. Just hold it down, down, hold down. So take a hold of this globe and roll and shake out all your greed. Move it down from the spine, take it, start up those dancing feet. So take a hold of this globe and roll and shake out all your fears.
Yes, here we are, sitting behind the starting soon page again. Kia ora, Maya. Oh, that's Maya Moana. I think that's Nadia's sister, that one.
Nadia.
Nadia from TMP.
Oh. I'm not seeing any of those feeds, my bro.
Oh, sorry, bro. You aren't either. Damn right.
Don't you run away from me. Soda dream,
Oh, kia ora, Ro. Thanks for the 50 stars.
wait for me.
Kia ora too. We're started now, bro. We're here.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey. Kia ora, kia ora, kia ora. Tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou e te motu, e te ao. E mā takitaki mai nei koutou nei rā i te mira. Kai roto iau, kai roto whakatāne, nā tiawa. Ara tū e kai tua, kai murira. Mi kau tēnei ki nā mauna whakahira o te ao. Koutou nā uri whakaheke o rātau mā. I nā pūroi mata o rani e mā turu nei, pupuhi nei, a hau i tēnei rā. No reira, nau mai hara mai, kia kiruni ia Twitch, Facebook, e mi ka hua tēnei ia koutou i tēnei. No reira, nau mai, there's several things that we're probably having a bit of a corridor today. Just in the last few days, I have been listening to some conversation over on around the referendum in Kanaki, New Caledonia. So apparently there's the French are moving the heavies over there to trying to tone it down. And yeah, I think it'd be really great that we can have a bit of a call about the Moananui Kiwa, because some of the work I'll be working on will be around that. and about the independent movements, and things are kind of firing up all around in Te Moana Nui a Kiwa. And I think paitunu mō tātou ke kōrero tātou ki ngā kaupapa ki reira. And just the other day, I had to remind myself, and I watched the documentary what happened in the Marshall Island, Marshall Island, and you know, I had to watch it again. In fact, I might have watched the documentary of the what happened in the Marshall Islands, where the Americans dropped a bomb there around in the 50s. Terrible things that have happened around there. Ka mau ki te aroa, you know, really, I mean, ka mau te wehi, mahi anu anu. So maybe you could talk a little bit about that. So I'm back here on my art again. I'm just putting, I think I already got about 8 or 10 coats of paint there, so I'm still working on some of this, touching up and looking at the work that I'm doing there. I think I just got to add a gloss and add a bit of gloss on it, black gloss, make it much more better quality, looking better. So, koene nā momo kōrero I tēnei rā. Maybe we talk about what's going on just a little bit around the because tomorrow we're having the Puno Mātātua will be in Tāneatua, the vaccine, and so that's going to happen tomorrow. So there's a really push around there to vaccinate. Tērā kōrero tērā huama. And so I'm here really to, you know, kia tere, kaua kōtau e noho puku. Aho ko wetahi o kōtau kai te ahua wana. Kai te ahua pō he noa. Kai te pai tērā, enare, but we need to move and shift because things are happening up north. Is on they're going to 3. And so maybe we'll talk about that. So,
Maybe-
so kaya kōrua.
We've already had a request to have no COVID corridor, please, from Jay. I think I might be with you, Ehua. We were going to be talking about it tomorrow at the, as they said, the vaccination corridor that we're helping out of Tāneatua Primary School, because, you know, people want to have a conversation about it, but no, there's plenty of other things to talk about as well. Hey, you, my bro?
Oh, yep. Busy trying to get this silent auction up and running for the artworks. I see Abigail, you're asking about where Dad sells his art. We are I'm literally hours away from being able to finish the website and the silent auctions that we're going to put up with Dad's artwork. We're going to be doing it in batches. We're going to do silent auctions in batches in successive weeks. So you'll have an opportunity to look at all the artworks and see which ones that you want to bid on on the website. But yeah, just haven't quite been able to get it over the line. I was hoping to get it over today, but you know, there's a lot on. So, hopefully by tomorrow morning it should be up and running.
Amen.
If you are interested, please go to the website tameiti.co.nz and sign up to the mailing list, and then I will send you an email with the link and all of the details for it, which you'll be able to get. Kei te pai, Abigail. Haven't seen you on the stream before, so kia ora. Thanks for your question.
Ka pai.
I see Moana's talking. Maya Moana's talking about me too. So thank you.
Yeah, I was saying which uncle, Maya.
Obviously me.
Is it Uncle or Koro?
I know. I get a few matuas these days too from 30-year-olds.
Hey, Moana.
Oh, thanks, matua. I'm like, oh, you're 30. Oh well. I'll just roll with it. Yes, there was a lot of uranium dumping. I actually did watch some of that. I often come in here to Tamita and I find Dad with YouTube playing. As to whether or not he's awake or asleep when it's playing, it's a 50-50 sort of thing. But I actually sat down and he was watching on the Marshall Islands just the nuclear testing that they were doing back in the when was it? It was like the 60s, wasn't it? I think it was the 60s. It was I think they did like one nuclear test per day for like 5 years.
Crazy, eh?
And then all the the indigenous population were just like left and developed cancers, intergenerational bloody crap. It was like just shocking. Of course, then we had that beautiful song by the Herbs, which talked about that kaupapa. So that's what you were talking about, eh, Dad?
Yeah. So, what's that?
The Marshall Islands.
Yeah. Well, to me, there's a huge kaupapa what happened in the Marshall Islands, and how they've been used as guinea pigs and experimental of the scientists, and with they drop a huge bomb, blowing the place to misery, and then they shift the tanata whenua onto their island. I mean, the place was just poison, and they're just having a haututu. And I mean, I'm not too sure where the Marshall Island government at this stage, and we need to be, there need to be more conversation around that. Just a thought. And the Rainbow Warrior went across, the one that got bombed by the French. And they went across there and shipped him back to the island, but it's not poison. And so we were doing that. I was involved with the Mururoa one. They were way back in the 70s and 80s. What year the Rainbow got bombed? In the 80s?
Marshall Islands.
Well, no, the Rainbow.
The Rainbow Warrior.
Yeah, Rainbow.
What date was that?
The Rainbow Warrior.
It was in the 80s.
It was the 80s.
Yeah, in the 80s. Yeah, in the 80s. Because the other issue, what they were doing, the French we were doing over in
1985
Mururoa.
was that?
Yeah, in Mururoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I got involved with that there too. Also, what's her name? It'd be really good to get help. Hilda Hokiart, and to talk about that because she was a representative in PG during that period of time, and doing a campaign to support the independent movements all around in those under the French, New Caledonia, Kanaki, and in Tahiti.
In Mururoa.
Who was that?
Mururoa Atoll. Who was what?
Hilda. Hilda Hokiart, Hone's partner.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody wants to talk about Three Waters as well, Jay. Borovich. Yeah, we can talk about Three Waters if you like. There's a little bit local government right there. I've been sitting in bloody multiple 3-hour Zooms about Three Waters.
Local government.
Throw out a question. What in particular do you want to talk about the Three Waters? I know there's a lot of fear around the Three Waters because basically the government haven't explained it well. I mean, I kind of get it because, like I said, I've had to sit in a lot of meetings about it. There certainly is a push to. I mean, it's going to happen. Nanaya's already said they're going to compel there's no way out of it for local governments, and there's certainly the fear that local democracy is being eroded through this policy shift. That is certainly the case, in my opinion. But also it's a bit of a rock and a hard place as well, because our successive councils around the country have failed to invest in the essential infrastructure of water, because you've had local government politicians who have campaigned on, I'll keep your rates low, vote for me, I'll make sure your rates don't go up, and meanwhile they don't spend money over decades on infrastructure, and then suddenly the bill's there because basically infrastructure gets old, and if you don't maintain it properly, yeah, but it's quite a complex issue because it's not the same for every single council. So there's a lot of councils who are going, nah, get stuffed, because basically if you take the water mahi off them, well, they're going to run your library. You voted in a mayor to run your library.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of, if they're not doing water, it's a big chunk out of their mahi and out of their rateable services that they provide for you. So if you have any questions in particular, are you saying many? Yeah, a lot of, I think what the government went through when they first sort of floated the idea, they were still getting a lot of, this is Nanaya's story anyway, they were getting a lot of, I guess, a better picture of what was going on, and then by the time from when they first sort of started looking at it to now, they've gone, oh well, the picture's very clear, there has to be an intervention, we have to step in, we have to form these new water entities. I think there's like 5 of them up and down the country, which is quite, you know, these are going to be big companies with huge assets, multi-billion-dollar assets on their balance sheets, and there's not going to be a lot of democratic processes around them. That's what kind of a lot of councils are sort of going, how is local representation going to be played out in those spaces? And then, so also the elevation of iwi, Māori, with regards to the management of those assets. So a lot of Pākehā farmers are freaking out, going, oh, it's going to be the Maoris. The Maoris going to kind of walk in there and they're going to kind of get to have more say than we are. And that may possibly be the case. You know, but my question is, and I've put it forward to my council as well, that post-settlement entities are common trusts. As a council, we're obliged under the Local Government Act. See, I'll just go straight into local government shit really quickly, don't I? Sorry, everybody, bear with me.
Keep going.
Under the Local Government Act and the RMA, we have specific legislation that really protects the community. It means that we've got to have a whole lot of transparencies. We can't just go around doing what we want. You know, an OIA, we've got a legoima. So basically, any email that I write as a councillor, you can write and go, I want to see that email, and you will get it. There is a whole lot of obligations with regards to local democracy that councils have to abide by. Post-settlement entities are just common trusts. How do you keep them to account? At the marae? That's the corridor that they kind of have now. Because if you want to actually really challenge them on some stuff, you got to take them to the High Court, and who can afford that? So this is just a question around if there's an elevation of authority of these post-settlement entities within that local government space, how do you keep a check and balance on that authority and on that power of those who have control of those common trusts? That is a question around democracy in our local government space, and that's just one sort of thing. So that's a bit of a corridor for you there, Jake. How many viewers did we lose? Heaps?
No, it's still, no, we lost a couple at Twitch, but that's okay. They're youngins over there, so that's all right. Kia ora to Tūhoi Chief and young Tangaroa Walters, he's back. Kia ora to, we had a few stars drop in there as well. People giving us some stars on Facebook, so kia ora for those, thank you.
I see a comment there from Kimbo saying more power to tangata whenua and tangata Māori, more power and control to tangata Māori, the better. And you know, I would tend to agree with you. But we are not, as tangata whenua, a homogenized, you know, we don't all think the same either. That's the question for me is, do we currently within our iwi structures have the checks and balances in terms of what we would normally term democracy? Do Māori even want
And
democracy?
this is kind of what you're saying about that post-entity. You're also talking about how those post-entity structures, so post-settlement entities that are created, also having to kind of fit within those constructs, and potentially having a difference in, you know, in what the people might say, or with the direction that might go.
Yeah, it's very early days in terms of, like, you set up these entities, like I said, they're common trusts which are governed by a trust deed, and that's really the only legislation that guides them, is that trust deed, in terms of their electoral processes, in terms of their complaints processes, and all those things. And people are loath to get involved in iwi politics too, which I completely understand. It's rough, and people from outside of the iwi don't want to get involved in a domestic issue. So I'm just saying that I think there's actually quite a bit of work that needs to happen with regards to how do we want to govern ourselves. Is this one? If you basically look at societies around the world, your governance structures evolve. I'm just saying that potentially with now the elevation and more authority and power going to these types of entities, that is then upon us as members of that group to go, well, how do we want to be governed, and how do we have that conversation? It's a constitutional conversation nearly in that space. And I have cautioned my colleagues at the council table, because there was basically a document they commissioned which was like, we want to increase democracy and community participation in local democracy, and we want to grow our treaty partnerships and look at potentially handing over functions to iwi. And I'm like, we're assuming Māori are into democracy. Has anyone asked the question? Because that's the issue. So
Dad, when you were sort of back in the day, when you were doing your haka about for change, sort of where we've ended up today in terms of these post-settlement entities and these legislative, basically Māori having to fit within these legislative structures. Is that kind of what you were thinking back then, in terms of how things would go, like where we are today?
Yeah, not really totally. All our mahi really was to provoke a conversation, and just to talk about that, and talk about where are we actually going to. Just before we even went to try and pull together a two-way whakaaro around taking and putting the claim to the Waitangi Tribunal. And so in the early days of the Mana Mutihake was really getting some conversation and movement to bring the issues about land confiscation, the use of arts and performing arts, and pulling people together. And so we too were really at the early stage of our called around the early days. So we had a board, a two-way trust board, which was based in Rotorua. So we were having a real big debate about that too. Why there was a need for a two-way trust board to be based in Rotorua. He had the tino pūtake no hau mai nei rātau ki reira. So they need to be. So we and also the Mana Mutihake o Tūhoe was part and parcel of the tino rangatira movements. So there were quite a few kaupapa was happening during their time. Pākaitore, we was, so what's happening in Raglan. So there was quite a few activities was going. That was run by Tanata Whenua. And so Eva Rickard was running an activities around there through music and arts, bringing international artists from our Aboriginal brothers and sisters, the Kuri people in Australia. And so each different groups were around the motu, the Wanganui, in particular the Kawai Maro. There was also Tony Sinclair and them was operating in Auckland in the big city. So there was a huge different activities. So we weren't really totally looking at where we are at this moment. Not at that stage there. So we were just trying to get some movement around, activism and happening around throughout the motu.
Right.
Yeah, something like that.
There's a partai there from Charles Clover. Sorry, bro. Charles, partai, do you think there's a lot of fear-mongering? A lot of the fear-mongering is because local body councils are in the pockets of the people who utilize water resources at unsustainable amounts, like irrigation and agricultural industries. Transparency would be scary for them. This is my experience so far, bro. I've been there 2 years now in regional council, and we deal with water allocation. So water allocation to these people. The council isn't in the pocket to them. The council is in the pocket to ratepayers. I'll tell you that much right now. But in my view, in my opinion, the trajectory of local councils have been that the agricultural industry and sector is no joke. They have, from Federated Farmers to Dairy NZ, these are organisations that represent the interests of those sectors. And they have a lot of really smart policy writers and planners, and they have been active for many decades, from the cultures from the 50s, 60s, 70s, because this is where we've come from. You got to look at the trajectory. A lot of those fingerprints are still inside of our policy. Someone like me just can't rock into council and go, I demand that you will change this and this and this, because it's all very legal speak.
But would it be fair to say though that equally, and this is obviously a shift in something that I think what Dad was alluding to before, which is about starting the conversation, creating the space that allows for Māori to be on those councils.
Yes.
That it is, but that as those council people are on, in these positions to advocate and to push for the farmers. Yeah. Likewise, now you are there advocating and pushing for Māori within that context.
Yeah, and it's incremental. It's incremental shifts, because you're talking about a whole body of, and this is what I would say too, like, you're always writing regulation for the lowest common denominator. It's so that people don't either pollute or just kill each other, basically. Honestly, it kind of comes down to that. So the shifts that we're making from back in those days was pretty much like, take what you want, there's the bottom line, it's business as usual. And I'll be honest, there are still those elements within council and within certain advocates. But there are advocates like myself and others who now sit at the table, and you basically have to sit there and reason your way through it. There are now environmental impacts which must be te mana o te wai, must be given effect to. But these things are quite incremental. Like I said, you can't just go in and rewrite the whole lot, because there's people out there who have 30-year consents. Now, we certainly argue against I certainly argue against 30-year consents. I go, well, I think in the very fluctuating, fast-moving times that is not only COVID but climate change and so forth, we should be looking at 5-year consents. Now, industry will come back and go, well, we can't invest tens of millions of dollars in our processing plant based on a 5-year consent, where in 5 years you're going to change the conditions of our consent. So those are the sorts of arguments that they bring back, and you go, oh, that is kind of, and they go, we provide this amount of jobs and we're going to invest this amount in your community and and it's all linked together with, bloody trucking companies and the whole pipeline of logistics and everything. So, they put up pretty hard arguments, and you've got to be pretty onto it to combat that sometimes, to have some compromise, and that's sometimes the best you can hope for is a bit of compromise and common sense. So yeah, kia ora.
Is the best you can hope for?
Well, in my experience so far, throwing rocks at people's heads doesn't work. Isolating yourself by being uncompromising doesn't work. You really got to choose your battles, and there's a lot of battles, and you kind of win some and you kind of go, oh, okay. You can't win it all because people get sour grapes and get salty, and suddenly, you know, when you really want to push something, you don't have that support around the table. So it's a balancing act. You really got to you know, understand that, and this was what I was talking about Māori politics again, about iwi politics, is we've got to find a way. One thing I will say for the council I sit at, me and some other councillors who sit on the other side of the table who come from completely different communities do not see eye to eye with regards to certain issues. But we all get to put our whakaaro forward, and at least people like me are sitting at the table, and we find a common way forward. But it acknowledges that people come from different communities who have different views and different interests and see things completely differently. And that's the reality of our country, and I think that's the reality of our iwi space as well. You know, the way I see things is certainly not the way that some of my cousins see things. Well, how do you equitably try to find a way forward so that you don't end up in warfare killing each other? So, old Tangaroa had a suggestion on governance. What was that? It was up a little bit further. I thought that was quite interesting. How I just take this computer on my boat? I need the mouse.
Sorry. Oh, yeah, sorry.
If you guys at home don't know, we fight over the mouse because we're over one computer. This was Tangaroa's model of governance. In his whakaaro, each iwi needs one ariki, with several rangatira, and then individual hapu and whānau officers, and then next down warriors, tōhunga, and farmers.
Then his latest comment, which is we should just raise the seeing as we didn't sign the treaty, why do we comply?
Yeah, you know, we talk about the same. We talk about that take before. You know, and Tuhoe didn't sign the treaty, Te Arawa didn't sign the treaty, but no, we had a long discussion around that whether we should. So we did, and whether you like it or not, we'll have to just make a decision. But I think it was a platform. I mean, the good thing I like about the way the treaty claims was really good, because it then allows us to tell our own story. So we don't just rely on Alps and beasts telling their story. In fact, a lot of the whānau, even in the village, in the Rātuki, a lot of those whānau had their own kōrero and what happened 100 years ago. Then it allowed us to do that. And so now we do have written kōrero during the whole right through the whole process. And and I think it's good and great. The problem we have is, that's not where the problem is. The problem we have is where what's happening today. That's another kōrero altogether. But I think that, we thought about it, and it's not a bad idea. And then it enabled us to do many things. So as a result of that, so we use the arts, and I think we had an exhibition way back in the 1990s, 96, and where we exhibit the urupatu, you know, sports policy. So, because the thing is, when you study history, you know, I mean, you can go to university and learn all about what happened 100 years ago. The key thing for me as an activist is, what do you do with it? So you say, oh yes, I learned about what happened in 1863, the Act, blah, 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 you know, but what do you do with it? And so what we've done right through that whole period from Ngā Tamatoa days and to the Manamutaku Tuhoe, we are able to provoke and bring people to talk about this issue. And that's how we came to be where we are today, through those actions and thought and ideas, and people having a tohe, a tautohe or a debate. And we're still doing it, but you know, that's what we're doing. So don't get all mixed up about what happened 100 years ago and what happened 15, 20 years ago. Tangaroa.
Tangaroa. Kia ora, Charles. No problem, me hoa. Happy to. I was thinking because I've got a year before re-elections, and I have to go back out and seek my social license to represent again. And honestly, to be honest, it has taken me this long just to get my feet under the table. It's a big organization with it's a completely different language. It's a completely different space for you to be able to effectively advocate. It takes a bit. So I think I've certainly got another 3 years in me. I can't see myself doing 9 years. It depends. It's a fascinating time at the moment because you're talking about the constitution of your country on a local government area space. But anyway, I was thinking that maybe I've got to do another kind of. It's really difficult to kind of communicate this stuff sometimes. So I'm appreciating this platform to be able to communicate some of the stuff. If you think I should, put some information sort of things together. I don't know how to make it funny though, without taking the piss out of it. I don't know. I'll think on that. Yeah.
Well, you can come on here and start talking about local government. I'll take the piss out of you all you like, Ray. So
that might be a good way to do it, my bro. Someone mentioned tohu tees. I like your hoodie there, my bro. Not to push merch, but
yes,
it is good. It's a nice hoodie.
Thank you, Tashi George. Thank you, Tashi George, for my hoodie. Yep, tohu tees. There is kia ora to Aaron. Kia ora, bro. Good to see you again. And we've got Tangaroa there is going to do any Tuhoi teach that in person? Hey, welcome to the class, my bro. It's happening. It's happening in person right now. Yeah. You're here, we're here.
Yeah.
So if we can ask the right questions, then you'll get it all. So,
and also the best thing for you, Tangaroa, for a young fella, a 13-year-old, just come and hang out. Go and hang out with your relation in Ruatau and Te Whaiti Waikare Moana. We'll link you up to some of the Tuhoi people like yourself and a little bit older than you. And it'd be good for you to have a quarter with each other.
He's got to get back this side of the ditch first. Hey, kia ora, Aaron. Kia ora, bro. Always good to have you here. All this mandated iwi kaupapa is what's wrong. They get the pūtea funding, so end up yes men. I'm not sure if they're necessarily yes men. I wouldn't necessarily agree that they're yes people. I'd say the post-settlement entity inside of Tuhoi, Te Urito Matua, I would not call them yes people. They got the money though, they have the trust fund there, but they certainly are not yes people, but they are a crown construct, and I think they still struggle with the reality that they are a crown construct. You can't get away from that. And this is what I'm saying again, it's quite a big tohe to have that conversation around how we organise and govern ourselves. It's a Pākehā construct to have a trust and to have a bank account with loads of money and looking at becoming a service provider. There was some quarter, I don't know if you saw on TikTok too, the thing we're going to tomorrow with the Tame Iti primary school. I don't know if you heard this too, bro. The principal, she's got a TikTok, she's called I'm the Principal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. She is always like, she posts regularly, like nearly every day. From Waimana. And she had organised this kōrero, which is around, sorry Jay, we're going to talk COVID for a little bit, but it's just around people who are vaccine hesitant, and she wanted to bring in doctors and nurses to just talk people through their fears, because a lot of people got fear around it, and that's okay, and to talk that through. And so she was organising with the DHB, and they were all on board, and they were going to, have some of their staff and doctors and stuff come along to be a part of this, because as you know, up and down the country, Māori vaccination rates are still low, and so they're trying to find any opportunity. She got a call from, so this is tomorrow, she got a call yesterday from the DHB, her DHB contact saying, actually we just got a call from TUT, the Tūhoe post-settlement entity, who has a contract, I think I heard the biggest contract in around here for vaccine distribution. And they've said in no certain terms that is the DHB allowed to go in and do that.
Right.
So she made it. I mean, that's from Martimer's story. It's I guess still hearsay to a certain extent. Yeah. To be fair, but she went onto TikTok and was like, well, she got the call and she was told that the post-settlement TUT don't want us going there, and so sorry, we cannot. And the question that she's put forward is she's actually a public school inside of Tane Atua whose children are both Tūhoe and non-Tūhoe, Māori and non-Māori, and she was putting this on for her community, which is the school, which is basically the kids and their parents. Because it's within the Tūhoe boundary, and this is what I was talking about the increasing power and authority of these post-settlement entities. They have relationships with DHB, with the Ministry of Education, with all of these, and where is that check and balance? Do they have the delegated authority? Because it's kind of in their rohe. Tane Atua is Tūhoe, but there's a lot of non-Tūhoe there too. You're talking about a public school. Anyway, they pulled it, and yeah.
Yeah, more important is really getting people there. If other people want to then don't want to stay there, but more important, it is happening tomorrow at Tane to school. And so there is a big fellow call to everybody. And make your way there. Tautoko te kaupapa. E kareba.
Oh, speaking of schools, I'm just going to segue into this.
Yeah, good.
125-year anniversary of Ruatoki this year. The Ruatoki school.
Yeah.
No, that's happened.
They were the first. They were the first bilingual kura in the country.
Oh yeah.
In 1978, apparently. I've got somebody fact checking that for me. But do you remember? That I guess that's Ruatoki school, Dad, because that's the school you went to, right?
Yeah. That was in the day they wouldn't allow us speaking Māori on the school grounds. That's why I'm putting it out here. But I was around there during the period of in the 70s when they shut down the school. And then Tom Williams was really the principal, because he was in our kapahaka too, and Carl Williams. So they put together the strategy with the support of the Ruatoki community and the parents there to start the first bilingual school there in the Motu. And they have been real concerned about it during that whole period of time. There was a ship for Guinaranua te Ngā Take o Tūhoe. So that was also the reason why we had the Tūhoe festival back in the 70s. So things are happening within the school system. Things are happening too, moving out of the Māruas and shifting into the big city. And many of our kaumate, led by John Rangihau, was the one and hype everybody up. Tūhoe Tana, the Tūhoe Festival, and that started in the 70s. Yeah, and I mean, even today, I still think that we haven't got the level like we used to. And although people see Ruatoki and Tūhoe as a place of te reo, but if you go to Waimana, even just around the Ruatoki, not everybody I can hear. A lot of them like te kōrero tūnua te kōrero te reo Pākehā. Yeah. I don't know how we can, Minho tātou ka kōrero tātou ki te reo. But only particular my generation my generation is a generation noho tūturu tonu rātou ki roto i te reo. And, but there's definitely a shift. E rere ke anu te mita o te reo. But, you know, we get in there. I'm sure we get in there.
Well, yeah, now there's kura kaupapa, so there's all of those things that are kind of in the, you know, in your kids are going to kura kaupapa. Oh, have spent a lot of time at kura kaupapa.
Yeah, they went through kohanga reo and then into kura kaupapa, kei raro te aho matua. And, well, e pai tā rawa reo ai, Dad?
No, tino. You know, actually, one thing I have noticed about the kids that have been through kura kaupapa Māori, from kohanga reo to kura kaupapa Māori, and we there I ask now, tino pai tō rātau reo. Ahua rere ke te mita, but then sharp. I mean, I just have a conversation here with my mokopuna, with te rani moaho. I mean, even the thinking, because I asked him to about his exam last week, I think, and kōrero mawe roto I te reo, and I'm just astounded and amazed by his response as to what they say. Well, how te tino taku o te pātai for the mo te whakamātautau, and the kōrero, the question that was asked was, should te reo Māori, should the Pākehā have te reo, or na te moko, should Pākehā wear moko, and and so he ato whakautu mo tērā, for tērā pātai. So I was amazed, I don't think I was even thinking like how they were thinking then, at 15 or 16, not at all, and ahakua mūhia ki te reo. But in regard to those types of conversations, so I think that kids gone through the kura kaupapa and kura kaupapa the kohanga reo. I think they're doing a wonderful job, in my view, how I see it, and how I see what these te rani moa is. Amazing.
I mean, you know, they have quite a literate father, so they haven't struggled with English language. They run me down though, man. They totally drag me for my reo.
Yeah. But that's good.
Yeah, it's humbling. Yeah. And it is good.
Did they ever correct Dad?
No.
Sorry, what was the question?
No, they don't. They don't correct his language. So my son does have an issue with a few Rob Ruha songs. He's like, they don't make any sense. I don't understand what he's talking about. They make no sense at all. He gets very sort of literal when it comes to Māori language songs. I'm like, does any of the crap you listen to in English make sense, my bro?
Yeah, that's true. Maybe it's more generational than it is.
Perhaps. Yeah. Or he kind of puts it in a box that, you know, this is real music and this is English music. But, you know, English language has evolved hugely. You know, in terms of mita, in terms of, and so it stands to reason that te reo Māori would evolve, especially if it's getting used by a younger generation. These fellas have, you know, another one that they do all the time, they go, nā me. Instead of going nā mihi, they go, yeah, nā me.
Right.
You give them a cup of tea or you hand them their dinner and go, oh, nā me. Yeah. They just made that up. It's just like their sort of shorthand of saying nā mihi.
Yeah, there was a real Pākehā in Ruataki in my young days. So there was a big, it's pidgin language. You kambara here, you know, so you kambara here, you come over here, so they kind of mita. You don't hear they kind of reo anymore. Right. And, you know, and particularly the te reo. But there was a fella, John Lawton, who was in the interpreter for the Governor General, Bernard Ferguson. I tell you, when you hear that Scottish guy, and when he's doing his kōrero, you would think that there's a two-way fella doing the kōrero, but because he spent a lot of his time over in our Mangapoatu.
There was that queer we met the other day down at Pack and Saver when they were doing the vaccine drive. The queer Pākehā. And you were like, oh no, she's a straight Pākehā, and her reo was the reo Tūhoi. Who was that queer?
Where?
The queer Pākehā that was at the,
Oh,
at the
yeah,
Pack and Save.
yeah. Joy. That's our auntie. Joy married Hedemia in Raymond.
But she's a straight Pākehā, eh?
But Tūturu Pākehā. But she was still some of the very few Pākehā around that was raised in Ruatoki and very paitana reo. And we think, and she took probably, yeah. So we do a handful of people around in Te Rohe that kaya rātau te rā reo. Just regard to the young fella Tangaro talking about using his Māori weapon. A weapon is a weapon. You know, get two pata for tera, you know. If you
Which weapon was he talking about?
It's a weapon, it's a, you know, it's just like martial arts. You just go there, you don't go around and have a fight and use the fist. Get two pata for tera, you know, I know all about it. You know, I end up in court doing those things. And but I want to publicly still want to apologize to my whanauna te kaha for that. You know, those things are gone, you know. Those are things that happens.
You got to apologise to the cameraman as well. It was his camera you smashed.
Yeah, you know.
You say sorry to the Pākehā too.
Yeah, you know. Sorry,
You've got a lot to apologise for that, I think.
You don't want to do that. Tangaro, don't do that. Snap out of it. Don't even think about it. Yeah.
There you go.
Right, you've been told.
I've had some. There's been some sort of conversations that have popped up in my week to do with your evolution versus dilution.
Okay.
Conversation that
Do
we've
not
had.
get me started.
Yeah, but yeah, it's been fascinating, and I wonder if this happens in sort of some of the circles that you end up rolling with, and some of the people that you're engaged with. But yeah, I did notice there was something that I was in on today that, for all intents and purposes, was something that was is an open conversation about sort of what things might look like in the industry, music industry, actually, in the next 20 years. And it was interesting because as I was listening to everyone talk, it was all good, and what they were saying was legit. But it was amazing how in this conventional way of, well, the conversation was built on top of old school thinking, old school paradigms, old ways of thinking that this is, that we have to, it's about, being international. It's about connecting with international markets. Is the Tame Iti, it was
the business model.
But at the same time, these are still the things that are, these are still the things that we as Māori feel excluded from. So here we are kind of talking about it in a way where it's still like the connection with what's there already hasn't been made.
Yeah.
There's still some things that need to be there's still some things that need to be resolved. Okay. But then what I was started to wonder, and this came back to that when I was thinking about your conversation about evolution versus dilution, was the evolution of the culture, which we spoke about in that a couple of streams ago, right? Which is, can the culture evolve? The reason I'm asking this question is because I can see Turu Makina's actually in on this in the comments here, and and I know that he's an artist. Yeah, kia ora too. I know that he's an artist. I know that he's he's a moko artist as well as among other things. And there was that talk about that corridor, particularly with you, Dad, around whether it's done the old way or whether it's done the new way, done with needles, and there's a sort of hardcore there. So that conversation and that those thoughts around whether or not Māori culture can evolve, and and can there be a significant change inside the culture in order to, despite what some of the people are like, nah, iwi's tauiwi, there's like, that's a construct, there's a lot of kind of resistance. Tangaroa's like, yeah, nah, we didn't sign the treaty, we shouldn't do that, we shouldn't bow down to the colonizers. All of this kind of rhetoric which comes along with it. Bro, you're saying, well, hey, it doesn't pay to be too hard-nosed about this. You got to find places where you can meet. And what if it's suggested that actually where you meet is an evolution of the culture?
Yeah, I think our tupuna utilised technology that they had at the time, and as they came across,
it's not just technology though. No, because I'm talking about things on the pipe. This could be like we don't do that because that's tapu.
But when you think about this, the big kōrero this, I helped out on an essay recently around the relationship between cultural identity and well-being. So the first thing you got to do before you start answering that question is you got to break down, well, what is cultural identity and what is well-being? Of course, your idea of well-being, of what is healthy and well-being, comes through the lens of your culture. You can, depending on what your culture has in terms of its values and its priorities, but culture is not and cannot ever be a stagnant thing. It cannot be stagnant, because otherwise
you must look at your kids. You must look at your kids and think that they are the ones that are going to go into evolve it.
Of course they're going to evolve it. I think we're going to evolve it. I think Dad's still evolving it. I think we are all participating, because it's just basically, I think it's like when you look at evolution of like organisms even. It is an adaptive process where you are, you've got both internal and external pressures which cause you to adapt. Now you do that as an organism, and you also do that as a collective of people to survive. You will have internal pressures which can cause a insurrection or a revolution, or you have external pressures like colonization, for example, which force you to adapt. And I think, and that's why I come back to technology. Our people used to use the uhi and these technologies because that's what was available. Other technology comes along and they're like, oh, well, geez, this gets it done quicker. And then you're having to adapt all of the tikanga and kawa that goes with the practice, because back in the day, you did things in a certain way, and there was a tikanga about things in a certain way, because if you didn't do it that way, you would get sick. So there were certain practices to keep everybody safe. If you change the technology, well, the practices are going to have to change. But I think because of colonization, because we had that stripped away so brutally and violently, it's like it's part of the trauma to want to hang on to these things that we felt like we lost. That's my argument, that then becomes an artificial sort of space where we're then holding on to these things that in a natural sort of, if colonization hadn't happened, we would just let go. And that's actually what I see with my kids, because they, someone like myself or like you perhaps, who weren't brought up with the reo, who were not brought up in the rohe, and our, back in the whārua, that we have this sense of we lost something. And I see that in a lot of people where they feel like they need to go home to rediscover, to find that part of themselves that they feel like they might have lost. My kids, because they were brought up in Auckland, but because they went to Kohanga Reo and Kura Kaupapa, they don't even stress about it. They know who they are, they know that they've got their reo, and they're just like, think about it, just like not even threatened, and they don't have that sense of, it's just different. So yeah, I think it's did any of that make sense whatsoever?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still fundamentally believe in I think so the rituals are really important things that we must uphold, and in particular on the marae Aotea. Understanding space, because we can make use of it, and understanding what that is. in just between from Rono to from Timatawina to Rono. And I think it's a practice that we need to practice not just on our marae, but in our daily life. And how do we make that happen? What do our kawa and our tikana look like in our own space at home? And working with our whānau around that. And how do we elevate those concepts and ideas? Does it need to change? You know, some of the things we need to talk about. Do the wahine need to do a whai kōrero on the marae? So we need to talk about that. You know, why is it we don't allow women? It doesn't mean to say that woman doesn't have a voice. Totally, the women do have a voice. It's just a different space. You know, and in particular, tuakana taina, the relationship between the tuakana and the taina, and between the matua, the koro, and the tama, and all of those concepts. We just need to go back further back again. Does it still fit into 2021? Yeah. What needs to be changed? Yeah. So we just need to have those sort of types of conversation.
Because the bro there is talking, Aaron mentions the Tohunga Suppression Act. And of course that was around the time of old, Nata and Carol, wasn't it? Who was a doctor, Maui Pomare. Maui Pomare, when the suppression of Tohunga Act came out. Okay. The issue is that just because you're Māori doesn't mean you can't be a goddamn fucking charlatan. And there's charlatans around. How, in terms of public health policy, because it came on the back of, and I understand, the legislators at the time, there was colonization, but also Māori were dying because there were people going around saying, based upon this culture, what you're experiencing, which was, a virus or a bug or something, people got sick. Probably bad sanitary situations because of colonization and people being pushed into really just putty spaces. They got sick, and some tohunga were killing people. I know some people around today who call themselves tohunga, who will put together a pani and they're full of shit. Like, I might get into trouble for this, but hey, it's a difficult thing when you come to public health policy and trying to keep people safe. I think we do have our ways, but like Po Temara said recently, you can't kawa yourself out of this one. That there are situations where you can't kawa yourself. Kawa and our rongoa Māori have a beautiful space, understanding that connection and being in a healthy environment with people with whānau, and where where you are, that will absolutely have an impact on your health. I think there's a lot of mātauranga Māori that the Pākehā system can learn from. But just because someone is doing something because they're Māori and saying that they are that it's going to produce healthy outcomes for our people, it's not true. We got charlatans. I've been along to bloody multi-level marketing schemes that are completely run by Māori, and they're charlatans. And
it's quite easy to distrust. And this is something that I've often, Dad, you've said, which is you're actually fighting the enemy inside yourself. And that enemy is the idea or the distrust that you might have for the obvious versus looking at what's around you and questioning that. So it's easy to distrust the government because they've been shitheads.
Totally.
They've done their share of
100%.
They've done their share of fucking us over, and so Why not?
Yeah.
It's easy, but you have to be able to critically analyze and critically think your way through some of this stuff.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's
Thank you
you
for
still
succinct.
become a slave.
I was just going to thank you for succinctly paraphrasing my rant.
Yeah.
Because yes, that's exactly it.
There was just a yeah.
Yeah, and
yeah.
in Tangaroa, when you want to be a tohuna, and then not life will take you where you need to be. Whether you want to be a tohuna, whatever, what sort of tohuna you want to be. A whakaputa mōhio one, so you just take your time, right? Breathe. Just breathe. Sometimes I think for you, because I've been watching you, just noho puku, right? Learn. That's the best thing for you to learn. And sometimes you don't need to say anything. Try and reframe yourself. Sometimes just have a whakarunga. And now good on you with a thinking like that, but I think that it's just for you. When you want to reach to that stage, yes, noho puku koe. It just will remain there, Ma te wā koe hai arataki where you need to be. You don't know where you're going to end up to. Whether you be a tohuna or whatever you want, once tohunatism you want to be, or not to be a healer. Yeah, so...
Hey, kia ora, Brian from Wollongong. Good to have our Aussie
You've
cousins
been
with
here
us.
before too, Brian?
I think it was, what was that bro's name? Kimbo, do you believe we can restore Maunga Poatu? Oh, that'll be up to Tamakaimoana, I guess. Oh, yeah, it's still there, eh? Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, yeah. The cuz was just up there, or the kazati, and he's like, it's still there. Does it need to be restored? Actually, they're doing the marae up, eh? There you go. One of the PGF funds. They're doing the... So yes is the word. Maunga Poatu will be restored. The bridge. Or those punga bridges. Oh my goodness. Have you been out to Maunga Poatu, bro? Oh, you're going to get some water? Okay. No, when I was up at...
I went up there. Dad took me on... I was gonna say, Dad took me up with a bunch of kids. We went up to... I've been to Maunga Poatu heaps of times.
Oh, yeah.
But
we went out to
usually
the Maunaroa.
Usually with Dad...
And I said to you, be careful, my boy. Then you end up flying down to the bottom, but lucky you landed on the tree. Remember that?
Yep, I remember that. Yes. I remember specifically you going, let's go for a walk, let's go for a bushwalk, and then I'm pretty sure the only living animals that had been on that bushwalk were goats.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't a human track. It was like a goat track.
There's no goats around there, that part of the world.
Okay,
the only goats is you.
It definitely wasn't a human track.
Acting the goats.
But now I'm getting water.
Yeah, go hydrate. No, totally, Aaron. There is more to rongo on Māori than just kawa. I do know that. Mindset, natural medicine, clean eating, te mea. Yeah, no, absolutely. That is true. It's nearly universal. Kōrero that one, eh?
What I miss?
Not much, bro. Little silent moment.
How was Lawton on Saturday?
What's that?
I said, how was Lawton on Saturday? That was
That bro.
awesome.
Yeah, I actually commented to my son too. I was like, because it just hit me. I was like, he because he's playing covers. It's hard to call them covers because they're such remixes, you know. And he's got his own versions of these songs. But I find it interesting. He actually doesn't play any of the songs that he's been part of writing, like any of the quarter tracks, which are really, you know, well-known songs.
Yeah.
He doesn't play them. Hey, Tu. Oh, you went AWOL there for bro.
Yeah, I see too. Tudu Makina. Very good artist, Tudu Makina.
Oh yeah. Next time you're back, man, we might have to talk about my puhoro. Maybe a puhoro for a for one of Dad's arts.
Yeah, this one of Tudu Makina's work.
Hang on.
Yeah, free hand. Just straight out free hand there, fella.
Where? Which one?
The one there. Waiora and Mayoro. The two Mokopuna young girls. And most artists they put a stencil on it, but they got that free hand.
Che Tsuruma.
Yeah.
Oh, Tsuruma Kena Keen.
Too
Yes.
much them up out.
Keen. Oh well, you better start painting my puhoro painting there, Dad.
Hey?
You better start painting my puhoro painting there.
Yeah,
For two?
Yeah. Oh, no, not a problem.
It's a deal.
Not a problem.
Sold. All right.
We're just around the corner from your mum and dad. Bro? Two?
Is he still in Aussie?
Yeah,
He's still in
I'm
Aussie?
busy. Yeah.
Yeah, but mum and dad just around
Yeah,
the
cool.
corner from. About a minute away.
Oh yeah. Oh, Narongo said
Hey,
that.
Q. Oh, go ahead.
No, just Narongo there saying that Tu did her Kowai. Sure. Yeah, beautiful artist.
Actually, I was on the fast train in, on my way to Hong Kong. And then, because they don't allow Facebook in China, but in Hong Kong they do. Yes, as soon as the fast train arrived in Hong Kong, and there was Tudu Mark in there, and he said, "Where are you?" "Well, I'm here in Hong Kong." So we caught up with each other. And a couple of years ago, I think, he was just on his way home from India.
He was saying that was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is crazy when you. I remember the first night I arrived in New York City and went out to go get pizza. Who do I walk into? Someone from fucking Grayland.
Yeah,
I'm like,
that was like me bumping into James Webster in the middle of Santa Fe while I was busking. I didn't know him, but I could see it. I could see this, like way up the road. I could see this fella walking towards me, and I was going, "That fella's Maori." Like just by the way he was walking, and he was on the other side of the road. And as he walked past me as I was playing, and then we did the old, the road. Yeah, and then and instantly, and then, but what? 20 years later, we bumped into each other at Dad. It was you took me and Rainer to that exhibition, that Hidden in Melbourne exhibition in Auckland, and and that was mine and Rainer's first date. That's my wife's first date. Yeah. And then and he was there, and he was like, "Yeah, you're that fella that was in Santa Fe playing saxophone on the side of the street." I'm like, "You're that fella that was on the other side of the street when I was playing saxophone." Like we completely, yeah, it was just so weird how that happened.
small world.
Aye, small world.
I just had a comment, bro, that the comments on the screen are really
Facebook.
hard to read.
Oh yeah, it's the best I can do, folks. If you go full screen, you should be able to read them. Unless you're watching it on your phone, then you're buggered.
I'd say most people are on their phones.
Yeah. I mean, they will be particularly hard to read at the moment because they're Dad's got all his writing on his stuff behind.
Oh yeah. And then you got the white wall. White text on white wall doesn't really work. Can I?
Yeah.
Does that help?
Yeah, that might help.
That was white words on white words. No, that was just you talking about rongoa, Aaron. That's all that was, my bro. We didn't freeze. Yeah, Tracy was on Saturday. She came on with Lawton talking, and Tracy came on. She had some interesting feedback post show. Said I wasn't cool. Lawton's cool. I'm not. Neither is Whitey.
And that we're turning the show into an infomercial.
Yeah. And damaging our father's brand. So kia ora for that whakaaro, Trace.
Hey,
we know you meant it with love.
Yeah, she's always told it like it is. That's what we love about it.
Yeah, it was all good.
And actually, it would have been awesome. It would have been awesome for her to come on tonight for us to have do a bit of a deep dive on that.
Yeah.
Oh,
She declined the invite to Wananga, that one, live on the stream. Kare's all like, oh, okay, she was probs, right? Yeah. Screw you too, Kare. My question was like, cool to who? I'm certainly not cool to my son. I'm probably actually not, know. But it's all about audience, isn't it? I don't know. We're trying our best, Tracy. Lawton was cool.
He was good. And, and chances are he is cooler than us. But he's a busy man. So you get what you pay for.
Yes, but actually we got some great feedback about that entire show. Some of my other artist mates really are enjoying it. So yeah, my dream's to get Marlon Williams in the house. I think that'd be dope.
Oh, okay.
That'd be cool.
Marlon Williams. Put that on my list.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
What was the partai? Asked Cuddy.
I don't know, what partai? What's the partai?
Maybe she's talking about the partai that we were talking about with Tracy, maybe?
I don't know.
Hmm.
Cheer, Vicky. Cheer. Great night. Love the corridor. Mean. Yeah, Marlon is seriously, I went to his concert at Bay Court in Tauranga, and best live show I've seen in ages, and it was just the bro.
Yeah, he's pretty talented. He's got a beautiful voice.
Oh man, and they just mixed his voice beautifully. Damn.
Yeah, I actually saw him, and actually we just had like Delaney Davidson, Delaney Davidson, and who was the other fellow? Oh, there was someone else. They did a church tour together.
Him and Troy.
No. This is a while back. It was Marlon Williams, Delaney Davidson, and Mamana. And then but we're gonna have Delaney Davidson on sometime.
Oh yes. Yeah, he's gonna come and hang out for a couple of days, eh?
Yeah. That's right. So
come and hang
we're
out.
getting a bit of interest in musicians coming on. So we'll keep everyone posted. We'll probably do that on the Saturdays. So we'll probably keep this Wednesday night. We're not sure. We'll see what we can. We'll be bringing guests on. Probably not making it as full on as it was last Saturday.
Every now and again is good. It was good. Yeah. I enjoyed it.
Kari, we were talking to Tracy about her goddess we actually she came on to talk about her goddess paint range that she's released through Dulux and was it Resine? I can't remember.
PGG.
Which is now through Brunner. Yeah. So her feedback was just after the show.
We're like, check, kia ora, Trace. No, sorry, Aaron, we probably can't put politician by quarter up because then our stream will go down. Licensing issues. Brian Gardner, did you win an auction recently? You were bidding, eh? Brian was bidding in the auction.
He was bidding.
Yeah.
He came in with the early bid, the opening bid for the last piece.
Yeah.
Brian, we've got. I'm literally hours away from completing the website with the new artworks on it. So I'll probably release them tomorrow, and so you'll be able to do we're having silent auctions, 4 consecutive silent auctions in consecutive weeks. And so you'll be able to see all of the artworks. You'll be able to put a bid in for the works that you like. This is a lot of the work that Dad's been working on for over every time we've been live streaming. Dad's been working on stuff. In fact, that one that he's working on right now will be up. Will it be up, Dad, or will you have finished it?
Yeah. There's one.
Okay.
So you can see when you're looking at the on the screen there, it's quite the shiny. I just put in a gloss on top.
Oh, I
and
see.
Look a little bit better. Better.
Sure. Yep. So all those will be up on the website, and you'll be able to put in a silent bid, and yeah.
You're turning into an infomercial again, bro. Tracy will be on you.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, I'll say it in a real monotonous voice. I won't be too excited. That's all good too. Yeah, you got to pick up the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, same deal, Tashi George. Yeah, it's tricky. We can't drop any sounds outside of the current catalog. Thanks to Loop Recordings for the music.
Is this still a Loop song?
Listed us the way it works.
The song here?
Yeah, this is Twin Set. It's a Loop album. Yeah.
Huh.
So yeah, Loop's authorized us and whitelisted us to play their music on Facebook and on Twitch, so that way Dad's channel won't get taken offline for copyright issues. So, which is good. That's what we want to make sure that we're playing music from Aotearoa and supporting local musicians.
Yeah, man. Like we would totally pay a licensing fee to be able to stream New Zealand music, but there just is not currently that service. Yeah,
I mean, we could go directly to the artist. It's a tricky one because as it works in the industry, you've got if you've been lucky enough to get a label deal, then there are certain rules around how the label handles that stuff. Loop is a label, and so we've got that direct connection. I could probably talk to Universal and those ones, but it's the same deal. It's quite complicated in trying to get a catalog.
I mean, because
if they give me Stan Walker, they might also have to give me they might also have to like inadvertently give me Lady Gaga, which is not acceptable. You know what I mean? So that's kind of why the tech may not be there to allow us to do that.
Sure. Yeah. Technically, it's a bit of a thing.
Yeah.
You'd think so, Aaron. You would think that we would be safe as playing righteous activist mana whenua. Yo, if we threw up David Grace, actually, when we threw up David Grace,
we did.
We put up a David Grace song because it muted us, took it down.
Yep. I played it last because I knew. Because if we play too many copyrighted songs, Facebook just dumps you, right? And then Twitch not so bad, but you can get DMCA, which is their, which is a warning, and we only get 3 strikes, and then we're off Twitch as well. So We're gonna play the game. We're gonna play the game
Because we'd love to. And it's not even
fair
David
enough.
Grace. David Grace could say to us, "Yeah, nah, sweet as, play my music." Doesn't matter.
Yeah, but technically I have to then go to the publisher or whoever's released that song, and then I have to get them to whitelist so that the robot, because the robot's dumb but smart,
But dumb.
you know, and it'll just take us out. Dumb but smart. Dumb.
You need a water, Dad.
Yes, please.
Bit of ASMR there for you fellas.
Yeah, just I'm doing that. I will not speak Maori, and I'm doing a series of that work because yeah, it seemed to be very popular that particular work. Yeah, and yeah, and I got the apple there, the golden apple.
Dad,
Yeah,
it's not
I've just
it's
done,
not
I've done it.
Apple,
I
the
actually
company,
done it,
though,
so
is
I'm just redoing it to get the better colours on it.
But it's not the Apple logo as in Apple iPhone Apple.
No.
Oh, that's got a bite out of it, that one, anyway. No, that's the Billy Apple one. Chura mana. Kia ora mana. Yeah, hei kona kare. See ya.
See you, Kari.
Yeah, kare.
Oh, that'd be
She
mean,
said-
old
she said, do you need to give her a call?
Yeah, no, I will. You talking to me?
yeah.
Yeah. No, I will.
Yeah.
I'll give you a call, kare.
Old Tapara. That sounds cool. Doing beats for at Toyoho Mai on Rotorua.
Oh yeah.
Hey,
Yeah, hook us up.
send them through. We'll
We'll
put
play
them in the playlist. Totally. Ciao, ciao,
I'd
Bella.
just like to say we'll put them in the playlist if we'll put them in the playlist if they're good. I should probably just,
Qualify that.
to be fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, kia ora Kaz, kia ora Karo. Kei hea koe, are you in Hamilton? Fellas on Hamilton's a knock.
Hamilton.
Oh, I don't, kia ora Kaz. Hope you guys are good. You and the Farnucks.
Farnax, eh? Nami.
Nam. Ngam.
Nam.
Ngam.
That was like the quarter boys when when I went away to America,
Yeah.
everyone was going, Turbro, you know, that was the thing. And then when I came back, the quarter boys had abbreviated it to that was what they were doing when I got back.
There's another one they do which
Nam.
I really picked up on, which was a paku something mea. Paku took a fall mea. Paku took a while mea. They used to say it all the time. Paku whatever mea. It was quite funny. Then I made it very uncool by using it all the
they
time.
Yeah. Let's face it, we're nowhere near as cool as them.
Kia ora, Abigail. Oh, Dad.
Hey.
Someone just wants a shout out to their 13-year-old son, Nico.
Hey.
Someone just wants a shout out to their 13-year-old son, Nico Denton Paki.
Oh. Okay. Amo, tāpara. Nā mihi kia koe ha.
No, Nico.
Ika awi awi.
Abigail down the bottom. Abigail.
Ah,
Second
yeah.
one from the bottom.
Oh, yeah, Nico. Ai, Paki. Tēnā koe Nico, Denton Paki. Ai, he mihi kaua tana kia koe he hoa te mokopuna. Mō tēnei rā. So, cheer.
Is it his birthday?
Yep.
I know it's like we turned into My FM doing shout outs. Yeah, kia ora amo, yeah, the PGF, the Provincial Growth Fund, to do with marae upgrades was, caused a bit of conflict on some marae. Some marae, sweet as, other marae, oh, yeah, kare. He te raru haere. But, so which marae are you talking about? Oh, you don't have to. But, you know.
Yeah, well, we can't really talk about those.
Nah,
Ko himu.
nah. Been, gone.
Talk to your partner about that, e hoa.
Yeah. That's cool, bro.
We're not here to debate about the tuhi around that. I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, give me a sec. I'll bring it up. Tahiwa.
Yeah, it's not for us to talk about it.
They look amazing.
Okay, so actually, Dad, I don't know if you can see this. So this is the this is what we're going to get coming out tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be today. You can see here, but these are basically the 4 auctions that we're going to have running. The silent auctions that we'll have running on the website.
Oh, yeah.
Auction 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah.
And so as of tomorrow, these ones here will be the first 4 paintings that we'll be releasing for auction.
Yes.
Yep. And so you can come in here and you can make your silent bid. So you'll have a week.
Yep.
To have a look at that. And then, but you can look at the other ones that are coming, the successive auctions that are coming up as well. So this is what will be coming up between the 10th and 16th of November. The place your bid buttons won't be there, but as of tomorrow. But you will, during that date is when you'll be able to bid on those particular pieces. So running 4 of those auctions in consecutive weeks.
So we're selling them each little wee blocks of 4. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, we're selling them in blocks of 4. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So if there's something that you like, we've tried to keep it sort of the bigger pieces. At least one. This one is really large. sort of 2 middle pieces and then one of the smaller ones. So
Yeah.
in each of those auctions is you see what a range. So if there's something that you like in an auction down the line,
Yes.
then you've got an opportunity to bid on those. But I think this one here, this I can't see it on my screen. Oh yeah, Taku Ao.
Yeah.
I think that one's going to be a good one. Oh, I haven't wired that one up yet. So, but yes, there you go. So as of that will be coming out tomorrow. If you would like to get an email when that opens, please jump onto the website, tameiti.co.nz, sign up on the mailing list so that we've got your details. And
Apparently that's not working.
Oh, really?
Hey?
Oh, I'm getting names in there. Okay.
Oh.
I need to check
Tash
that.
just said she just went on there and that it wasn't working.
Yeah, so there you are, everybody. And,
Oh, okay.
yep,
Check.
your one and only chance for 2021 to be able to have this mahi hanging on your wall.
There we're infomercial mode again.
Yeah.
You're ruining your brand, Dad.
Oh, okay. I shut up.
Shut up and paint.
I shut up. I just carry on painting.
Ah, she's right. It's not working. Oh, yep. Okay. I need to fix that.
Yeah, so on not too far away, we got the Ngā Tamatoa kaupapa happening in Tauranga, nei te rangi. The old buggers.
Ko wai. Who's that, Dad?
Ke reo matua. Ke reo matua.
Are you talking about Ngā Tamatoa, Dad?
Hey, Ngā Tamatoa.
Yeah, I think that's been postponed.
Oh, is it?
Well, because Northland's gone into lockdown.
Oh,
And between Northland and Waikato,
okay.
ain't nobody coming out.
Oh, okay. I saw it. Oh, okay.
That's pending, but I think that's what the haps is. I can't see it happening. Just another victim of COVID, of lockdowns.
Oh, there's that guy from Beechworth, Roddy Gogo.
Oh, hey there, Roddy.
It always freaks me out because I feel like
Beechwood. Yeah.
he's in Beechwood. Just so that you know,
Yeah,
Roddy,
yeah.
the reason
There's something I
Beechwood
see there,
means something
and,
to us is because that's where our grandparents grew up. Our Australian grandparents, through our mother, grew up in Beechwood, New South Wales.
Aye, beautiful place.
You spend a bit of time there, eh, Dave?
Yep, I spent a year there. I nearly decided to stay there, but we brought you home. Nice people.
Yeah, well, they're our family. Family on our Aussie side. We're true Mozzies, your boys. Narongo, you can't see them at the moment because they're not up yet, those art pieces, but they will be up soon. If you've signed up to tameiti.co.nz, then you will get a notification. They'll be sent out to you if you put your name in, registered on there. But if you haven't, don't go there at the moment to register, because I think my brother's just fixing it because that function was down. So, but they'll be up there soon.
I'm just fixing it now.
Maybe go to tameiti.co.nz later on tonight, and yeah.
So in order for people to they come to this auction, that they had to register, right?
Yes.
No,
no.
it's well, they will have to register to make a bid. They won't have to register to look at it. But what I've been saying is go to the website and sign up, so then I can tell you when the next auctions are on, that kind of thing. But I've just see here, we've just been told that it's actually broken on the website, so I'm just trying to fix it at the moment. So that you can put your name in there.
Tongaro, if you did that for your own personal journal, no problem at all, e hoa. No problem. If you plan to sell that and saying these are the quotes of Tame Iti, then that would be a problem. So don't do that.
Speaking of copyright.
Yes.
Oh, come on, what's going on here?
Who are you asking that of, Aaron? I think we may potentially have different perspectives or different views on that. Probably not. I think it's probably pretty close.
What's the question? If Ngā Tangata choose to go to civil war,
where do you stand?
is that,
I don't know how
what does that mean? Does that mean fighting amongst ourselves, or
yeah, civil war,
fighting against within Māori, or with Māori with? Is that what he's asking? Yes, that is what he's asking.
If Ngā Tangata choose to go to civil war, so are you saying Māori against the government? You know, where are the current freedom anti-vax kind of people? Is that what you're talking about? That sort of, which seems to have quite a few far right sort of people in it?
Well, that's one way of looking at that group. I don't know if it's fair to say that, you know, because there seems to be a bit of a spectrum. I don't know, so it's going to open a fucking can of worms. That way.
Yeah. No, I think it is a spectrum. There are certainly far right elements in there, no doubt about that. But yeah, that's why. Which side do you stand?
Yeah. Do we stand on the side of our mother, or do we stand on the side of our? Actually, I can't say it's the side of our father either. So,
No, you can't. And nobody wants civil war, bro. Like, seriously? They keep things just kind of good enough not to go to war. Like, I don't think people know what war is around here. Yeah. Civil war calmed the farm. Yeah, I'm with you, Vicky. Sure. Yeah, it is only postponed. It will only be postponed. It is happening next year in whatever way. We've got a few things planned for the Ngā Tamatoa for 50 years since 1972. Yeah, now we do not want to put our kids through war too. It is not, and these fellas who are talking it up from the pro anti-vax, nah, no.
Yeah, that's what I mean about you, Tangaroa. Calm down, young fella.
Yeah.
They come up with your hair kōrero.
No Tangaroa. Jesus.
Don't be a hautitu.
he's keen.
Yeah. That's too keen. That's get nigh on getting blocked keen, Tangaroa.
Oh, well, so block here. Yeah. Typical young fella kids.
Yes, less terrorism, more aroha. That's the one, my bro. That's the arapai. We're not the arapai.
Yeah.
Is this still linked,
Wa
my bro?
hare te puna Māori na.
Maharaj Trio.
Check that for you. Yes, it is Nicodemus. That's right. It's a combination. It was a collaboration between Nicodemus and Maharaj Trio.
Okay.
Yeah, they got a pretty eclectic catalog.
Yeah, totally.
They've been going through a few years, you know. So. Hey, Dad, how many of those big pieces have you got? Those building paper ones have you got?
Yeah, I've done 3 of them. I'm working. I got about 1, 2, 3.
You've already
I got a
sold
big
one.
one. About 3, 4.
Hey, bro, have you had a bit of a play with the new Procreate release?
No, I have not. I hear it's pretty snazzy. You have?
Oh, what's happened to your microphone?